How's it going, everyone? Yo, Corey, aka Crasher, here with a new video, and ladies and gentlemen, it has been a hot minute since we have last talked about Pokemon Go, and, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about Elite Raids, because that right there is a new feature introduced into the game, and oh boy, this one is definitely making some rounds, and not in a good way. So let's get into it. So we're going to be going over a couple of articles here, the first of which is titled, Pokemon Go players slam Niantic for keeping Elite Raids in person only. Pokemon Go players slam Niantic's decision to limit the new Elite Raid battles to in-person only, and fans are claiming it limits inclusivity. Pokemon Go recently announced the addition of Elite Raid battles, which serve as a more challenging raid mode. Unfortunately, the launch of Elite Raids did not go over well with some fans, as many called out Niantic for ruining Litwick's Community Day event. Now, more players have slammed Pokemon Go's Elite Raids for their lack of inclusivity, as Niantic limited the event to in-person participants only. Pokemon Go fans furious with in-person only Elite Raids. Plenty of fans voiced their frustrations with the restrictions following the announcement made on the official Pokemon Go Twitter account. Not having remote raiding for these is a big mistake on your end, Niantic. Many people aren't going to have time to prioritize these 24-hour raids, said Twitter user VGMike7. Niantic's sunsetting of remote raiding has been a cause for concern among the Pokemon Go community for some time, as the company slowly started making remote raid passes harder to come by. While Pokemon Go clearly wants players to participate in their in-person events, some members of the community feel this change is only holding the game back. Wow, only in person. What a crummy deal. Niantic sure loves making the game unplayable for the vast majority of potential players, said trainer Farah. Some trainers also think Niantic is limiting Pokemon Go's inclusivity by requiring fans to play in person. Once again, Niantic proves that they hate everyone who doesn't live in a big urban city, is disabled, and or doesn't have a big community in their area. Despite calls for change, it seems as though there are no immediate plans to shift Elite Raids away from in-person only participation. Alright, while I understand that Niantic is trying to bring Pokemon Go back to its former glory pre-pandemic, this isn't exactly the way to go about it, and this is something that can't exactly be rushed, as the pandemic is still very much a thing in some parts of the world. And on top of that, let's also not forget about the plethora of problems that Pokemon Go has had since day one, and it can all be summed up to Pokemon Go is not fair. It's not inclusive to every single player that plays the game, whether they are dealing with disabilities, whether or not they're living in big cities or big communities. You guys get where I'm going with this. And remote raid passes have been one of the key quality of life changes for the game that has made Pokemon Go playable for a lot of players. Why Niantic is doing this to their audience is something that I still don't understand. Why, Niantic? Why? You're introducing a sick new feature, but you are seriously handicapping yourselves by making this in person only. Let me give you guys a little bit of perspective here. There have been times where I have been out and about walking where we would be on community days, and I would hardly see anybody play the game, even for community day Pokemon that are objectively actually really freaking solid, whether it's solid in the form of shiny colors, whether it's solid in the form of meta relevance, etc. So what makes you think that people playing in person, that they're going to be going all the way to raids in person? What makes you think that that's going to happen, especially in communities where players are very far and few between? It just doesn't make any sense. But ladies and gentlemen, we're not done with this yet, because we have a second article that also talks about Elite Raids. Pokemon Go Elite Raid debut plagues players with game-breaking issues. Oh, brother. Let's see what this is all about. Hoopa has appeared in Pokemon Go via mysterious new Elite Raids, but its arrival has been accompanied by bugs and issues plaguing trainers trying to enjoy their debut. On October 15th, Niantic launched the new Elite Raids, but they were immediately met with disappointment from fans. This was because the first round of Elite Raids eggs spawned at the same time the Pokemon Go Community Day raids were set to start. Niantic ended up apologizing for how the Elite Raids impacted the Community Day spawns and pushed back the egg appearances to 6 p.m. local time instead of 5 p.m. But taking up raid spawns was just the beginning of the issues players would encounter when attempting to partake in the new Pokemon Go Elite Raids. And there has been no shortage of complaints from players running into bugs and issues during the Elite Raid debut. Players report wave of issues during Pokemon Go Elite Raids. The first issue arose when players showed up at the Elite Raid gyms, but no one else was there to raid with them. This made players pretty upset as these new raids are far too challenging for trainers to take on solo, and these raids can only be attempted in person, no remote raiding allowed. However, the second issue arose for players lucky enough to gather the number of trainers required to take the Elite Raid Hoopa down. Players are supposed to encounter rare spawns, Articuno, Wooloo, etc., but a number of trainers reported that the rare spawn timer appeared, but rare Pokemon never spawned. Some even claimed that following a successful raid, neither the time nor the spawns showed up. The third and arguably most frustrating issue made it impossible for players to defeat Hoopa. Thanks to a bug, players would defeat Hoopa within the time allotted, but the raid would continue as if the boss still had health. The time would then count down until it hit 0, and then claim that the player had failed the raid. Like many of Pokemon Go's feature debuts, the Elite Raids have left players fairly disappointed due to the abundance of issues, and since these raids are very limited, a lot of trainers were left without being able to truly experience all that Elite Raids have to offer. Oh, but we're not done, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at some of the community responses to these issues. Fix your game. I completely missed out the raid because of failed logins, and as soon as the raid was over, it gets fixed like it was nothing. Wasted my raid pass now, and I only have one try left and have to wait hours to try again at the 2 p.m. raid time. Wasted the whole 30 minutes at the 11 a.m. raid just trying to log in and join, and then when I could join and finally defeat it, the game froze and I couldn't catch it. No one showed up. Thank you for letting us not invite friends to these. I'm so sick of Niantic excluding so many players just to push their in-person agenda. They made way more money in 2020 and 2021 when they made the game more inclusive, and now they're raising the box prices, trying to milk players to make up for the money they lost with all their crap. Side note, do not even get me started on their boxes and the prices to go along with it. They are an absolute fucking ripoff. Managed to get the raid done, but no spawns. Very annoying. Maybe they only activate when 20 people are in the raid. Anyone else able to test? Yup, seems to not be the case. No idea why they didn't activate here then. Me and my friends just did a Hoopa raid and beat it with 60 seconds left, and it let the time tick down and said we didn't defeat the raid boss, and it did it for everybody that participated in the raid. Please help. And we can actually see this in action from Vinny Chaos as we scroll down. We can see that the timer ran out, but it was already in the range of defeat way before the expiration, and you can see it again on the spot instant replay, folks. There you go. You know what I find really funny? This line of dialogue here from the article. Like many of Pokemon Go's feature debuts, the Elite Raids have left players fairly disappointed due to the abundance of issues. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I like to call Pokemon Go in a nutshell 2022 edition. Make no wonder Pokemon Go have a real hard time keeping their players, and even the most dedicated of players are starting to seriously dwindle down, and Niantic's got nowhere to look, no one to blame but themselves. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, nothing surprises me at all when it comes to Pokemon Go and Niantic's continued incompetence, as well as their seemingly dedicated ways to pissing off and driving away the remainder of their fan base. it really does amaze me that Niantic still seems to be hell-bent on self-destruction. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the video. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time as well in viewing this video. Have yourself a damn good one, you beautiful people, and I'll see you next time.